You need precision, timing, and teamwork. Racing isn't a solo sport. You need your pit crew and your driver. Neither is cooking. That's why we built YumTwo. YumTwo is your cooking co-driver that lets you cook and find recipes that you'll both like with whatever preferences you have. No matter how hard or how easy it is to find recipes, we'll always have a recipe for you to pick. We're sponsoring the College Cup Series this season, but off the track, we want to sponsor your dinner. Get on the grid before launch and join the waitlist now at YumTwo.com.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is time once again for a little bit of action here in the Collegiate iRacing League. Tonight, it is the YumTwo College Cup Series. It's the Clash coming to you live from the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway. I'm Alex Gagnon. Alongside me tonight, Derek Watson joining me in the booth. Derek, welcome to maybe one of the greatest spectacles of the year. We have got a massive field tonight because they said, hey, it's the Clash. If you want to join, you can.
Yeah, it's a massive field here tonight. You know, if you put it in college terms, Alex, it's like touring the campus for the first time, kind of learning where things are. A little short race at Daytona. Just, no homework tonight. Just kind of maybe moving into the dorm room for the first time,
Absolutely. These guys getting moved. Honestly, a lot of them probably starting to move in if they haven't already. It's about that time of year. I know a lot of the folks around here started last week, so it is prime time to get back into the swing of things here in the CIL as well. Want to give a big shout out to YumTwo as well for coming on as this year's title sponsor for the College Cup Series. A huge shout out to them. And with that, I think it is honestly time for the first time this year to just say a quick round of thank yous to the people who's going to make this series possible this year. We have a lot of new faces that we want to celebrate, and let's see if we can throw them up on the screen now. Well, we'll jump into that in just a second here. We'll actually just we'll talk for. We'll talk sponsors here in just a second, but tonight should be a fun one. There is no doubt about that. There we go. ECAC Esports, providing value to its member schools by enhancing the intercollegiate esport programs across hundreds of campuses across the country, including iRacing. So big shout out to ECAC Esports for once again returning in their support of the College Cup Series. The Cardinal and Birch Group sponsoring tonight's event. Want to give a big thank you to them. There we go. Whiplash SimCams, providing iRacing graphics and camera packs for tonight's broadcast. And of course, want to give a big thank you to YumTwo. Cooking is better when it's shared. YumTwo is the new couples cooking app that makes meals fun, interactive, and stress-free. With personalized recipes, meal planning, and step-by-step cooking guides, YumTwo helps couples bond through food. Join the waitlist now at YumTwo.com. That is YumTwo.com, and get a free week of premium when it launches in September. Tonight's event is the Birch Bash 200. Sponsored by Cardinal and Birch Group. Cardinal and Birch Group LLC is a New York local boutique real estate firm dedicated to being the trusted real estate partner in the communities for which it serves. Much like the Cardinal is known for its integrity, so too is the Cardinal and Birch Group. They pride themselves on being a personal, first-class experience to their clients and are committed to being by their side during the entire real estate process. You can visit thecardinalandbirchgroup.com for more information. There it is, the Birch Bash Clash coming up on your screen. Gotta remember, folks, it's the preseason for us here in the booth as well. And I think that's actually a really nice little segue. Derek, this is the Clash, obviously, tonight, the only non-points paying event on the schedule for this semester. And as someone who's been around, racing as long as we both have, what do you think's going through the drivers' heads tonight, knowing that this is the first time to get a sense with their other competitors on track, but ultimately what they do on the track here tonight won't have a ton of bearing on their overall result?
I think, Alex, in a way, this is sort of like a live science experiment, right? So what I mean by that is tonight, you get to feel things out. You get to fit out the car. Maybe you haven't driven a while moving around from summer break to college. There's some new rookies in the field. You're going to see how they draft, how they push, how you can push them. And you're going to kind of get to see what you can make happen in very short runs at Daytona. So when we come to our season opening race and we come around here to Daytona, you sort of have a little bit of on-track experience. So I think there'll be a lot of drivers, I think, who will make moves you're not used to seeing in a full-length points-paying race that are going to be a little bit more wild, might be the right word for it, a little bit more aggressive or adventurous than what you're used to seeing.
Yeah, and I mean, especially when it's super speedway racing, because that just kicks it up another notch as well, because that's already, as far as stock car racing is concerned, dare I say, adventurous. You know, it's not too many other styles of racing quite like it, and to your point, we have a wide range of drivers coming here tonight. Previous champions are back. Drivers who set the all-time win record or most wins in a season last year are back. To folks we've never seen before in this series. I have a feeling we're going to see some really interesting dancing partners here, especially early on when people start to try to figure out, like, all right, I've never seen you before. Who are you? What's your deal, kind of, while you try to figure that at 200 miles an hour.
And you're going to take some really quick notes, right? If you give someone a bump and they wiggle, you're going to mark them off the list. That's a no for me, right? If you bump someone and they do well, or hey, if someone bumps you and you're maybe, hey, I don't want bumped to the corner, or I don't want bumped in the tri-oval, you're going to quickly make a list of friends and not friends here, right? So you're going to quickly learn a lot about this field. You know, maybe you're mad someone pushes it 4 wide in lap 2. That goes off the list. So in a way, I think more people will have less friends on their list than they'll have friends on the list, because you're going to be kind of judging what everyone does here. But it's going to be an interesting night here across 40 laps.
Yeah, it certainly is, and it's a short one. So while we're talking about it, Daytona kicking off our schedule on the calendar, if we can take a look here. I mean, Daytona kicking us off, but we've got a fantastic slate of races getting ready for season 13 of the College Cup Series. Unbelievable stuff. Now, this is the schedule up on your screen. Daytona kicking us off here tonight. First points race at Michigan next week, and basically every Monday until December, we'll be racing at a different place. And when I look at this schedule, one of the things that jumps out to me, Derek, immediately is while there is a lot of really classic ovals that these cars are going to do well on, my eyes beeline to the one just next to Daytona, Road Atlanta on October 13th. A place we've run at once before, but we're going to need a custom setup to run that. It's fascinating to watch these cars try to go to work on a track that they have not really ever been to in real life.
Yeah, that's a lot. Road Atlanta is a big wrestling time right around the team of Hans. The one that struck me a little bit was November 3rd at Kentucky. The only track I can see in the schedule that is not currently a NASCAR Cup circuit. So what I mean by that is there's a lot of drivers who don't race it that often or haven't raced it in a while. Maybe it'll be their first time seeing it. That could do some different racing more simply because it's just a hot track.
Yeah, it certainly could be. I know for a fact that Kentucky is the track that took me off of running officials for a year and a half. I got so mad after a race there, I just decided to stop doing them. So we'll see if the drivers handle it better than I did running online officials a couple years ago. Hopefully they will. They're all far better than I am. That is why I'm up here in the booth as opposed to out there on the racetrack. Just a couple. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. See, the last one I'll make real quick, and we can talk about it later. There's 2 super speedways back to back, essentially. You notice there on the beginning, the 22nd and 29th, Echo Park in Talladega. Someone could really define or bless the season right there in those 2 weeks, back to back super speedways.
Yeah, you really can. That, especially with them being pretty early on in the season, you know, those being races 4 and 5 in the points. If you have a couple of bad days there, that's going to really set you back for the majority of the rest of the season, given that it is such a vacuum of points through the end of September if you do not perform there. With that, we'll take a look at where we're racing here tonight. We are going to Daytona, of course, the world center of racing. Not a whole lot you can say about the way it's designed, and yet you could say everything with the amount of stories that have been told at this iconic 2.5-mile track.
Yeah, and the complicated sort of this. I mean, last weekend was amazing real-life racing, but yeah, this is an amazing facility. And I think, you know, Alex, when you were a kid and you dreamed of playing sports as an athlete, as an adult, if you love baseball, you dream of hitting the home run in the World Series. If you love football, it's throwing the winning touchdown to zeros in the Super Bowl. If you grew up loving stock car racing, it's winning at Daytona.
It absolutely is. You couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, this is what it's all about when it comes to NASCAR. Running here at Daytona, this is the dream. And we'll have a bunch of drivers being able to do just that virtually in a moment. But let's take you trackside here. Let's take a look at tonight's starting grid for the Birch Bash 200. A fun one, a massive field tonight. I believe we're going to have 54 cars in the field due to, this will be the only race that happens. Next week we'll put in the qualifying that takes it down to 43, but Jake Cummings from Converse University is going to put it on pole, a 50.249, the multi-time winner from last year, off to a strong start here. Saddleback College's John Forbes rolls off alongside him. In row number 2, it's going to be Daniel Nanny from Ball State University, set the single-season win record last year. Brandon Schulenberger from Wingate rolls off 4th. Alex Jones and Edward Sanchez will line up in the 5th and 6th position, respectively. Logan Smith from Auburn College rolls off in 7th. Trey Lamprecht from Texas A&M University San Antonio rolls off 8th. With Matthew Morton from Ohio State, the previous 2-time champ, and Ben Fiore from Marist rolling off 10th.
We're going to move back here into P11. You'll find Nate Smith from Mississippi State University. He'll be lined up next to Garrett Viton from Arizona State University. Moving back into P13 is Clemson's Drew Williams, and he'll be up next to Jacob Martin, part of Belmont Abbey College. Moving back into P15, this is going to be row 8. You'll find Ryan Whitlock, the University of Alabama in Huntsville, next to Andrew Voigt, part of Pennsylvania State University. Zachary DeWall, St. Clair College's own, is next to University of Northwestern Ohio's Tyler Coxon. And then back in P19, you'll find Matthew Nordberg from North Carolina State University, part of the college up there, next to Lucas Moody, the Cardinal of Ball State.
Rolling off in P21 tonight, it's Cade Corbin from the University of Alabama, Huntsville. Clinton Halterman from UNC Charlotte, winner last year. He'll roll off in the 22nd position. Austin DeLong from the Penn College of Technology will be 23rd in that 222 machine. Edwin Onofre from North Texas rolls off 24th. Behind them, it's Anthony Schmeising from Purdue and Andrew Burrell from Clemson. 27th will be Lee Winters. Outside of him, John Voigt from PSU. And rounding out your top 30, Nick Stockner and Roger Primo from Paul Smith College.
Going to be back here into P31 is Wesley Shaw from Texas A&M. He'll be next to Sean Campbell from the University of North Carolina, the Tar Heel right there in the P32. Back in P33, we're going to find Keegan Kalick from St. Clair College, and he's next to Ryan Decatur, Valparaiso. Back in 35th, you'll find University of Houston's Miguel Carrera. He's next to Ronan Suarez from Santa Monica College. 37th, Brian Ferwita, and he's next to, from Embry-Riddle, he's next to Josh Kempfer from Kansas State. And then 39th and 40th, you'll find our next set of cars, Ronnie Berkins and Ethan Head from the University of Tennessee.
And we've got about 14 more cars here. Connor Bingle, Nolan Starkey just behind them. Thomas Crump and Ben Neller, Maverick Davis and Jack Wilson, Jordan Recke and Logan McKim, Michael James and Brennan Lyman, with I think a couple more cars here. Kelton Quick, we rolling off Christian Hill, Caleb Winslow, and Hunter Hidesti. So next week, when we get into the points-paying races, only 43 cars will be allowed to take the grid. But for tonight, with it being the Clash, it will be 54 cars ready to go. 40 laps on deck here from Daytona. Coming by in just a second. This field is stacked up, and it is something massive. Pace car going to peel away. And even though it's not for points, the College Cup Series is back here on YouTube. Season 13 underway from Daytona. they make their way off of turn 4. It's going to be a dead heat coming to the line for lap number 1. Looks like Jake Cummings had it, but not for long, as John Forbes Jr. putting something together on the outside here. Schulenberger giving him a big push into turn 1.
Yeah, this may be a new season. We may be feeling things out, but it didn't take long for the bumps to start through the top lane through the first lap. Just lots of bump drafting happening, some squirty cars. But so far, 2 by 2 as far as the eye can see here. A great battle up front. And right now, it's Jake Cummings trying to keep this team on around the start finish line.
Yeah, and right now, these two lines, a dead heat, no real momentum to create a third line just yet. They make their way off of turn 4, and as this race continues, that is a really troublesome spot in the draft. You lose so much air coming off of that back spoiler that sometimes the car just gets a little out of sorts, especially if you're getting pushed by the car behind you. And speaking of getting pushed, big shove there for Jake Cummings. Daniel Nenny, Ball State, gave him a shot there in the turn 1.
Yeah, the car down here started on pit road, so it'll be at the bottom of the track. No trouble there. We'll go on around. But the car I keep bringing my eyes up to, Alex, is that 7 car. He gets some great pushes. But look at that. He got almost like a push and a pusher. The 7's getting pushed. He's trying to kind of manage it well, as now the top lane leader moves down an 11 car. And I think that's good news for the 7, because I was getting worried about the 7 car pushing the pusher and what was going to happen there.
Yeah, that's the thing where things can get a little dicey. If you're kind of stuck in the middle of the sandwich, getting pushed as hard as you're pushing the car in front of you. We'll see that a lot toward the end of tonight's race, but early on, that is always a little bit of trouble. Looks like Schulenberger was able to hold on to it fairly well. And now up front, it's John Forbes Jr., the Saddleback College driver, slips down to the bottom lane in front of Jake Cummings. And as they'll make their way onto the backstretch, here they go.
So what keeps coming to my mind is, this is only a 40-lap race. It's not that long. I keep wondering how long it's going to be before moves begin, right? How long is it going to be before that first 3-wide instance we see through the field? What happens and when? Who gets to kind of, unlock those achievements in the clash of doing said thing first? Right now, knock on wood, all things pretty calm, but that top lane is falling back. And hold on, caution's out for the first time, Alex.
Certainly is. Just as we were thinking things were settling down, the yellow is out for the first time here today. I think it was something that happened a little deeper in the field. Maybe something with the 123. Not entirely sure. We'll go find the replay and take a look. Oh.
It's kind of hard to say.
Yeah, there he goes. That's Jordan Rickey, who gets bounced there amongst several other cars. One of the Alabama Huntsville drivers, making his first start in the College Cup Series in a couple of seasons.
Be right here towards the bottom of your screen, coming towards the middle. Watch the cars up top. There'll be a checkup up top, and then it's going to cause some drivers to come down the hill. What needs body slam into Jordan there.
Yeah, and it's a tough start for him. Luckily, though, this is just the exhibition race, so, certainly you want to go and you want to win. But if there is any race to have some issues early on, I suppose this wouldn't be a bad one for it. With it being this early, Derek, I can't imagine too many drivers are thinking about pit road unless they would be able to get into the fuel window. With it only being 40 laps, I'm not even sure if that's really a concern here tonight.
It would only be really a concern, I think, if that green-white checker becomes a problem. So if you think that's a problem, maybe you come in here and sneak in. Hey, but that said, there's other reasons to pit here, Alex. Maybe you want to be in the back. Maybe you want to hang out for a while. Maybe you aren't comfortable in the middle of the hornet's nest. 54 cars is a massive number. Yeah, so mid-pack of 54, you're like 27th in mid-pack here. That's unheard of, by the way. But, maybe you want to fall on back and kind of let the calamity happen and then kind of find your way forward later. Bunch of cars in the back, nothing to lose here, by the way. Why not come in, put gas in, and hope you have something different than your competitors?
Yeah, may as well top off on fuel. Not that you really would need them, but maybe give yourself a slight tire advantage. And, never know what could happen, especially with this being Daytona. Might need to get those couple extra laps. So a lot of cars peeling in and doing what they need to do. And that was if I've learned anything from the opening couple laps here, it's that when you get a couple of cars really able to push like that outside lane did, That is how Forbes got to the front with the help of 2 cars behind him who got really locked together. The outside lane or the inside lane couldn't quite muster that same force. So that seems to be that's what you're going to have to do tonight. But also the risk factor jumps exponentially, as you were highlighting earlier, when you start getting 3 cars who are all pushing that hard.
So the question I have for you, though, when you see how that car just sort of jumped out there in front of the 11, you see a couple guys taking a bus stop for fun here. You see, but what I wonder, though, coming back to that point, though, is how the 7 did all that pushing, and then he kind of got left out to dry on the top lane. So the question I have in my mind is, was he okay with that, right? How does he feel? Is he like, hey, I respect the move, you know, you got up there, you took the lead? Or is he like, hey, dude, like, I pushed you, and you just sort of abandoned me? Right? You sort of ghosted me and kind of left me up there. What happens the next time these 2 cars link up? Is the 7 as willing to help, knowing he may get hung out there?
Yeah, especially because I'm not entirely sure what happened, but I'm watching the cars make their way around here, and I think Schulenberger got cycled back a couple of positions here. He's currently marked in P8 when he was that second car on the outside who gave a big push to the 11 of Forbes. So now getting back up there is the first challenge because he's lost some track position. But then, much to your point, if he gets lined up with Forbes again, I mean, who's to say that wouldn't happen again? You know, it becomes a real cat and mouse game, and you don't have a whole lot of time to figure out how that's going to play out.
What's that? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Kind of scenario, you know?
Absolutely, and I have a feeling we might see that here if the 7 and the 11 get hooked back together. Race control announcing that was a multi-car incident, but a racing incident, so no penalties will be issued for the lap 4 crash. Cars stacked up double file, and they'll be going green this time by, it'll be Forbes and Ball State's Daniel Nanny on the front row, Alex Jones, Logan Smith, row 2, Matthew Morton, Jake Cummings, row 3. You know, fun fact about that number 5 in the field of Matt Morton, the Ohio State driver, not only a multi-time champion here, but has made his first ever start in the Coke Series here in iRacing, one of the top NASCAR leagues you can run in anywhere, which is awesome. Congrats to him. He did really well in that event, and it's awesome to see that he is back to run some CIL with us here this year. The YumTwo College Cup Series, certainly appreciative to have a former champion back in the ring with so many new faces.
The other car that sticks out to me back in P9 is Edward Sanchez. Eddie from Birch College loves super speedway racing. He will do it all day long if you don't stop him. I've seen him do it like noon to midnight sometimes up on his YouTube channel. So he loves this stuff. He's a fiend for it. He craves this stuff. So if there's someone who I know right now is antsy in their seat, excited to make a move at Daytona, I can almost feel that energy from the booth. Eddie is just waiting to pounce here at Daytona.
Yeah, and we know he's got the skills to get it done. Multiple runner-up finishes on the super speedways, a heartbreaking loss to Kaler a couple of years ago, and then a fantastic duel last season that pushed Lucas Moody into the wall hard. Ryan Whitlock pushed out on the restart, and cars are spinning everywhere, and you have a wicked accordion effect with this many cars in the field, and that's exactly what just happened there. I guess you could argue we just got the big one here trying to go back green. I mean, it is an absolute junkyard at the end of pit road.
Yeah, that's pretty massive right there through the back of the field. I mean, the cars involved, and we'll see how many are actually involved versus how many is kind of checked up and waited for the wreck to end. That'll be the question to check out, maybe with a couple replays. But we'll back it up here, and we'll watch it again. Watch the back of your screen, Andrew, or Alex, sorry. He's going to come up here in a moment. Get some more checkup. Back. I'm going to find a different spot here, I think, in the replay. But with this big a field, I think checkups may be the word of the night, Alex, because, I mean, this big a field, the momentum swing when someone checks up in the middle of the field, it's going to accordion back pretty hard. Let's watch what happens. Yep, right there, right above us. I think the big checkup happened, and some people got the memo and some people didn't.
And that's what happens when you just... And that's the thing, is that it could just be slightly off for each car. You know, one car fires off just a tad later than the car in front of it. And over the course of that many rows of cars, that is going to be a huge difference if someone has a disagreement on when to launch and when not to. So huge pile up there. And I do believe that is going to have to take a couple pace laps, which means it might be a prime time for us to take a quick step away. When we come back, it will be continued coverage of tonight's YumTwo College Cup Series race from Daytona, the Birch Bash Clash. We will be back after a couple of short messages.
You need precision, timing, and teamwork. Racing isn't a solo sport. You need your pit crew and your driver. Neither is cooking. That's why we built YumTwo. YumTwo is your cooking co-driver that lets you cook and find recipes that you'll both like with whatever preferences you have. No matter how hard or how easy it is to find recipes, we'll always have a recipe for you to pick. We're sponsoring the College Cup Series this season, but off the track, we want to sponsor your dinner. Get on the grid before launch and join the waitlist now at YumTwo.com.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com. Racing.
Welcome back, folks. One lap away from going green. We'll be going green next time by. This is, of course, the Birch Blast Clash, presented by the Cardinal and Birch Group, LLC. The YumTwo College Cup Series here live on YouTube. YumTwo, the cooking app that brings couples closer. Together tastes better. We're about a quarter of the way through. This one is a short night here from Daytona, only 40 laps. And that car right there you're seeing, number 11, John Forbes Jr., making his CIL debut here tonight. In a good spot, I'd say. Derek, he's been up front all night. Granted, there hasn't been a ton of green flag laps logged, but in the couple we had right off the jump, that car looked really strong.
It did look strong, right? Got that amazing push. It took the push well, and that's something maybe that we don't talk enough about at Daytona and the other super speeders, how well you get pushed, and that can really matter for your success rate here. But it's, you know, Forbes up there and Nanny's up there, Alex Jones, I mean, Matthew Morton, you said the Coke Series drivers up there. So, you know, I thought as you were doing their ad reads for YumTwo, like what a perfect sponsor that is for a place like Daytona where you have to work together and you have to kind of make things cook here. So I thought that kind of worked pretty well, actually. Like, no one's going to make anything happen alone at Daytona. I don't know that we're back to the mid-2000s with the car tomorrow with the tandem drafting per se, but you have to work with teammates here. So I guess if you're lucky enough to have someone who goes to the same school with you here, if you're lucky enough to have a best friend in the field or someone you know, that familiarity, hey, it's just like going to class on day one. If you have a couple friends to go to class with you, it feels better than going in there alone, right?
Certainly does, and I tell you what, that was some of the finest work I have ever seen as far as connecting the race to sponsor. That was some awesome stuff, because that is well beyond my level, I can tell you that much. Pace car going to peel off back down pit road. It'll be Daniel Nanny, John Forbes Jr. leading them to the green. And here they go through the tri-oval, stacked 2 deep over 25 rows long.
So far, all good. Green flag. Got a challenge up front from Nanny. He's side by side up through here, but that bottom lane is longer. That actually could be a disadvantage, though, Alex, because that means that it's massive checkups that have caused calamity so far. Down the back street, here comes Nanny. About a car, maybe a car and a half ahead. So this top lane is moving.
Top lane is certainly moving, and it's going to be Daniel Nanny and Matthew Morton, who's dropped down to the bottom. Ball State and Ohio State drop in front of Forbes. Now Forbes maybe going to take a peek back to the high side. He's going to try to do a little side drafting here off of 4 as the field comes back together through the tri-oval. Daniel Nanny, your new race leader. They're side by side for second on back going into turn 1. And oh, someone got shuffled way out of line. They all are trying to fan back in, and oh, I think they made it work.
Yeah, I think so. But look at that back in the field. 3 wide back about halfway through the field. So there's lots of people trying lots of strategies. With a 54-car field, there's going to be lots of movement around here, and mostly 2 wide back here. But I'll tell you what, I'm excited. These guys want to work together. There's enough cars to make 3 lanes work. So I predict, I'm going to say by lap 30, Alex, we're 3 wide racing.
Yeah, I have a feeling that's a good prediction, especially it's going to start at the back of the field when you start getting to 10, 15 to go and you realize you're still 15, 20 rows back from where you want to be. We're taking a look here at the way these lines have shuffled out after that little bit of a skirmish going in the 1. That inside lane has really stretched out the advantage 4 cars forward before you get to the first side-by-side action. See some of the big movers on the right side of your screen. You see Daniel Nanny up front, leading this field, and oh, someone going big time spinning through the back infield.
Not sure that was yet. We can get a car number on that from our spotters and see what we have here, but those both went flying down through what is iRacing. The grass caution is out. I thought I heard on my ears, but I do not see it.
Yep, caution is out on the racetrack.
There it is.
Wow. It is. Wow, I mean, that was... It's hard to have a hit that looks that violent going down the backstretch here at Daytona. That looked like someone got shot out of a cannon across the infield.
Yeah, and took a friend with him, I'm pretty sure, too. So, yeah, a wild moment there. By the way, drivers up real quick, come back to that topic. The biggest one I see, for the record, Maverick Davis up 40, by the way. I want to point that out. Maverick Davis is currently riding back in P5. So a good run for him. Well, in a moment, we're going to replay what happened, and we'll see what happened here. But I mean, it just looked like a. So it's 3 cars involved actually. Watch this here. It's going to happen towards the middle, the bottom lane.
Looks like Matthew Nordberg there in the 076. The NC State driver is a part of it as he gets absolutely launched here. Andrew Voigt a part of it as well. It's a 3rd car there. I'm trying to pick that out of the crowd. Spotter's guide all the more critical when there's so many cars in the field here tonight.
Yeah, it really is critical. But all 3 of them end up hitting the wall at different speeds. So bad news for all 3 of those guys. And yeah, just, yet another caution here this evening. 2 of the 3 are driven away. I'm not sure if the 3rd one made that there okay or not. And heck, you know, we've seen Daytona where you think you need a perfect car. But we've seen plenty of drivers who beat up race cars on their way to the front here. So now, but look at this though. This is a surprise. That's your lead. Well, that's your leader. That's the 11 car who led some laps tonight. He's coming down pit road, basically alone.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess he'll be able to. He'll not have any company really till about 40th on back, as there looks to be a handful of takers at the tail end of the field. If he had made this move under green, we could have completely forgotten about the 11 the rest of the night with no draft help at speed. But under caution, he'll not lose the pack, but man, I mean, he is going to be buried in traffic here after running in the top 5 most of the night. And I wonder if he was burning a little bit more fuel than some of these guys actually being out front.
Well, definitely the case. Absolutely the case, burning more fuel. But what I think this does now is it gives him the confidence to lay on the throttle. Right, and what I mean by that is some of these drivers in this field are probably, I'm guessing, running, let's say, 85 to 90% throttle. They're trying to fuel save a little bit if they want to stay out this whole race. But that said, these caution laps are definitely helping your cause here. But if you pit right now, you have no concerns about gas. You can go 100% on the throttle and that can make a massive difference come around this track. So, yeah, we'll see how this pans out. Lots of drivers up and down pit road here, some getting repairs done, some there is Andrew Voigt right there in the 91 coming around.
Yeah, and they're seeing a few other cars on pit road. It was announced that it was the 52 machine of Anthony Schmeising, who was the first car to really kind of kickstart that series of events. He's been issued an EOL, and he'll be shuffled back to the tail end of this line. So Daniel Nanny, now your point car, and tell you what, he got a great push to get out there from Matt Morton to the point where both of them were cleared and able to drop down. Now they're going to be restarting in opposite lanes, though, so they're going to have to start working with some new faces. I think it's Alex Jones, Logan Smith, who are going to be on their back bumpers for this restart. And really curious to see which of those two have the better push, because they've been kind of several rows deep in traffic. Now they'll be the lead kind of push car.
Well, what I'm curious about is, do they try to find a way to get back together? Does one of them, lay back a little bit or jump ahead on the start? Do they want to battle, or do they want to get back in line where both seemed comfortable? There's a look inside the cockpit very briefly right there for Daniel Nanny in that purple car. Nice looking dark purple car. The color still pops here at Daytona off the lights here around the super speedway. Pretty solid look, but I would suspect, actually, Alex, if I was one of them, I would want to find a way to get back together as soon as possible.
And I wouldn't say I would be blaming either of them if that was the case. Matthew Morton, the all-time winner, or the all-time leader in wins here in the College Cup Series. Daniel Nanny, third on that list. 26 CIL victories between the two of them. And they both know how to get it done here at Daytona. We'll see if they work together on this restart or not. While they both have had really strong tenures here in the CIL, they have not really gone up against one another. So a bit of an enticing battle of a couple seasons ago versus last season, and seeing how those two will stack up. A lot of other heavy hitters here in the top 10 as well. I mean, I don't think we can mention enough. Maverick Davis up from 45th to 5th as they run. Just an unbelievable bit of work to cut through the field. He's up 40 positions, and he's only just a handful away from potentially getting into the race lead. That 15, third on the inside, he's someone to keep an eye on.
He is. He's well known across the Irish community. I've seen him race before. I've seen him in different leagues. Always seems a way to find success. So here we go. The pace car will pull down again, Alex. Let's see if we can get some good laps here this time.
Pace car back down pit road. Green flag hanging in the air. They're going to jump on that throttle. We are racing once again at Daytona. It'll be Nanny and Morton going to lead them down into turn number 1.
Well, there you see the big gaps, or at least a gap on the bottom. It's not big enough for the car up top to fit into, so the two former partners will get separated for the moment. Down here to turn 1, side by side, 2 wide, about 11 cars deep here. And now that bottom lane seems to want to build momentum first. They're going to get a bit of a lead here. And I think what line dominates here often, Alex, this comes to which line has more patience. The top lane can be more patient, the bottom line, and it flips back and forth. It just takes patience to make it work.
Yeah, I think patience is one thing, and an underrated part of it is also a bit of stability. If someone's constantly getting all knocked around coming out of the corner, it's really hard to establish a clean, consistent bump to push them forward. So, and that also comes back to the patience a little bit of knowing when to make a push, when not to. And that inside lane dialed in right now, they have opened up a massive advantage over that outside group. Now 6 cars clear and away, single file on the inside. Daniel Nanny, the leader of that bunch. But they are starting to really put the hurting on the outside lane. Matthew Morton not getting a whole ton of support up on that high side. And that whole group starting to really drop back now.
Yeah, they are starting to fall back a little bit. So now the question becomes, who's not happy riding in the bottom lane? See that top lane starting to form up here? Picking a couple of random. Is Maverick Davis happy in third? Or when that line comes around, does he decide to pull up and kind of be the new leader? Doesn't appear that way so far, but here comes that top lane again. That momentum is building.
Yeah, if one car had jumped on the opportunity, that was Ball State's Lucas Moody who jumped to the high side. He might be trying to get dialed in with the race leader, Daniel Nanny. As you see, he is now working his way up there. He's alongside Davis in third. At number 13 for Ball State. Oh, Edward Sanchez around hard into the wall off of turn 2.
Yeah, that back end of that wall came around. No caution call yet, I don't believe. And I think now we are, as I hear the car slowing down.
Yeah, yellow just jumped out on the racetrack. Heavy hit for the Baruch College car. And he is not the only one. Take a look here at the replay. He's getting a big push here going into the corner.
3 wide.
Oh, 4 wide. Yeah, that'll do it.
And you got a tap there from that back from that white and orange Tennessee volunteer car. And on around. Multiple hits into that wall.
Yeah, Garrett Vighton, part of it as well. Looks like the 10 of Logan McKim got caught up in it. One of the first cars involved was that 4 of Jacob Martin. We are on board here. This is on board with Edward Sanchez, and just how quickly things can change. You're pointing one direction, all of a sudden you're pointed up into the fence.
Yeah, and you're trying to hold on to it. You're trying to make something happen. But watch his backup here. This backup across the track. I use the word wild on the opening. Oh, buddy, that was dangerous to back up across the track like that with a field of cars still behind.
That was a heavy hit for a heavy hitter here tonight on the super speedways. We know how good the 26 is. Pretty proficient here on these super speedways. Tough break for Sanchez. Looks like he'll be able to try to get back into this thing maybe, but right now we're just about at that midway point. And looks like maybe a couple takers for pit road. We'll see. A lot of people have been teasing it tonight. Not a whole ton of actual cars have. And that continues to be the case here again. Trying to play a little bit of mind games here in the preseason. Try to get some people out of line coming down pit road. Although it does not look like anyone really jumped on the opportunity here in the top 15.
No, and the more these cautions come on and the more fuel you save, other than cars that are in these wrecks, it's less and less likely to see someone come down pit roads. I mean, you're saving so much fuel under caution. At this point, if fuel was a concern, I think that's probably all but evaporated. But here comes that back of that field. They're going to try it again and see what they can do with a pit stop here. So I'm thinking in my head, though, with the way we saw Edward Sanchez hit that wall, mostly just the back end of the car, Alex. So that's kind of good news in a way, right? Maybe didn't hit the motor, didn't hit anything that's going to, really kill the speed. It means that his back end will be tore up, so he'll probably want to find someone to push him to help him get around the track here. But hopefully not the end of the day here for Eddie Sanchez. Yeah,
and with so many cars who need the pit, a couple of cars actually double stacked up here on pit stalls. Just the nature of the beast. So that's both Jack Wilson, I believe, and Edward Sanchez who are getting service done on their cars at the moment. As more cars continue to peel away, just past the halfway point of the clash here tonight. Only a handful of different leaders to this point. I want to say there's been 3. Jake Cummings, John Forbes Jr., and now, of course, the current race leader, Daniel Nanny, in the 30, kicking off right where he left off last year's season. He's having a great start. Alex Jones staying up in that top group as well. Lucas Moody up from 20th. Matt Morton has bounced back to that 4th position. Maverick Davis still up 40 positions. He runs 5th. Jake Cummings, the pole sitter, back up to 6th here, just ahead of Logan Smith. Then you got Nate Smith just behind him in that 61. Ben Fior runs 9th, and Drew Williams rounds out your top 10 as they run. Also want to give a quick shout out to the driver running 15th. That is the 2 of Kelton Quick. Talk about Maverick Davis going from 45th to 5th. Kelton Quick up from 52nd to 15th, because that's an actual sentence I can say here tonight.
Yeah, not too many more, right? The other one that stuck out to me, by the way, down the field in 26, was Hunter Hadesty, up 28 spots, and is in 26th place. So,
which is just insane.
If my commentary math is good, that's literally last. That's 54th to 26th, if my math is good. So that, yeah, I mean, again, we're kind of having fun marveling at the field size here. It's not. It takes you back to really the old days of NASCAR with these massive fields at Daytona. So in a way, it's kind of a throwback. It's very different from what we're used to. But right, the fact that we can say up 28, up 40, up 30 something, yeah, that's not a common phrase we use in commentary booths nowadays.
Well, especially because to the point you mentioned here with Hunter Hidesti, like he's up 28 positions and he is nowhere close to the front of the field.
No, he's
I mean,
right in the
he
middle of the
still
map.
has to do what he's already done again to get up there. I mean, that's just crazy to me. And also, just behind him, John Forbes Jr. back up to 27th already. So still some work to do for the 11, who's led some laps here today, but he's already picked off a good bit of the field here. And partially due to the attrition of a couple of wrecks and partially just due to it being a wicked fast ride out there at the moment.
If I'm Forbes, I have to wonder if I'm regretting that decision, by the way.
Yeah.
Boy, to give up the lead, you'd had to get like a crowbar to pry me off the lead, I think, to go back in that field. I don't think you could have done it. It was, free food, money. I don't know what you could have thrown at me. Free tuition. I don't. Maybe not. I'm up in the front, thanks.
Yeah, no kidding. Especially now he's right in the thick of it. As we get ready to go racing again, it'll be lap 24 this time by Daniel Nanny, ready to lead him to green once again. Here we go. It's Nanny down low, Alex Jones up on the high side. And they are going to get rumbling that inside lane, staying mighty connected here as they go into one. Ball State teammates have found each other at the front of the field. Lucas Moody going to give a shove to Daniel Nanny out front. And then Maverick Davis, a big shove as well. Those three cars getting some separation from the rest of the field.
Again, separation for the moment are those three cars. We'll see how long that lasts. And oh, there's a move up top. I was wondering, here's Maverick Davis. He has a push along back. He thought, hey, I'm not going to let those two teammates pull away here. I'm going to make my own move happen. So he's got, I believe, Logan Smith behind him. And now that bottom lane is getting back together, and we're back to two wide racing coming up out of four.
Yeah, looks like that outside lane's got a good bit of support again as well, so it's going to be pretty close to a dead heat as they make their way through the tri-oval. By about a car length, Daniel Nanny's still going to hold on to the lead. He's got that 13 absolutely tattooed to the back bumper as they go into turn one. Maverick Davis just trying to hold on with a little bit of side drafting here. He's in the battle for third with Jake Cummings.
And I know Lucas Whitty's happy back in P2. We've talked before. Lucas always very proud of his Ball State esports teammates, so I'm sure he's happy to see a familiar face up in front of him. And I know Lucas, he's going to help Daniel get around. Don't get it wrong, though. Lucas will make the move when he thinks he can, but holding caution is out yet again.
Oh, big wreck. Jack Wilson, Ethan head around. The 16 caught up in there. He was almost airborne for a second. There is a ton of cars, Junkyard. John Voigt getting caught up in it. The 888 of Hidesti. We are just singing his praises of working through the field. Wesley Shaw. Man, massive, massive collision. Feels like that scene at the start of Cars where it's just every car in the field wrecked at some point here. And that seems to be what we're getting tonight. Take another look at this. I mean, this starts ugly and then just gets even worse.
Yeah, right there in the bottom of your screen, you saw it happen. Cars up on the track, cars in the grass, everywhere in between. There's nowhere to go if you're in the back of this field. And cars driving through one another. It's a mess. It's the nicest way to say it. It's an absolute mess here.
Yeah, the big one strikes again. I mean, you could take your pick of any number of about 15 cars or so to take a look at and say, yep, that's going to be real detrimental to them trying to get to the front here before this is said and done. There is Thomas Crum nearly getting up and over. More extra contact there with Whitlock and Voigt. Head gets part up in it. Looks like the 37 who is escaping me. This is such a big field to try to sort through. Lee Winters in the 37 machine. Beaten up a little bit there. Man, it is, that's the thing with, I mean, I know we keep talking about the field size, and I'm sure the fans at home have probably got the scope of it, but I think it's important to stress, especially in moments like this. You normally, if you're like 10 rows back of the leaders, there's only so many cars that can get caught up in an incident like this. But when the field has an additional 15 in it, the number of cars who could potentially get caught up in a wreck from the mid-pack on back basically doubles. And I think that's the second time we've seen that tonight, where just something that would normally collect, say, 6-7 cars is now collecting, double digits.
And the bigger challenge to that, too, is as that wreck gets bigger, the drivers in the back have less space to find a way around, right? So it's almost like, the whole, I got it, I don't got it. Because you think you're through the wreck, and all of a sudden someone just kind of finds a way to hit you, right? So the bigger that wreck gets, the harder it is to find an escape route out of it. So that's how those wrecks keep getting bigger and keep magnifying here at the track.
Well, we are going to step away for a brief commercial break. When we come back, continuing coverage of the Birch Blast Clash here from Daytona. We'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors.
You need precision, timing, and teamwork. Racing isn't a solo sport. You need your pit crew and your driver. Neither is cooking. That's why we built YumTwo. YumTwo is your cooking co-driver that lets you cook and find recipes that you'll both like with whatever preferences you have. No matter how hard or how easy it is to find recipes, we'll always have a recipe for you to pick. We're sponsoring the College Cup Series this season, but off the track, we want to sponsor your dinner. Get on the grid before launch and join the waitlist now at YumTwo.com.
And we are back here. Field is ready to go next time by. A lot of cars who have been shuffled around here with these past couple incidents, Derek. I mean, we can talk a little bit about the top 10. Some of these names are ones that we recognize, a couple newcomers. And I tell you what, you know, we have a really cool battle going on for the biggest mover today. Is it going to be Maverick Davis, who's from up 45th to 7th, or now Kelton Quick, who's gone from 52nd to 9th? I mean, these guys have traversed the entire field to get up here, and they're nearly knocking on the door of potentially taking home the first checkered flag of the season.
And with the way that the lines at Daytona moves, who knows? One of those guys could be up here. They could be back pretty quickly. Heck, there's some other names. Roddy Birkins is up 21 currently. He's back in P18. He has a chance to move up. Benjamin Lyman up 29. Still back in, I think, in 20 seconds. There's lots of time for someone to claim that proverbial award for biggest mover up the field. So lots can still happen. But something else I think is happening here as this field, and you said we've beat this conversation field size a lot here, but I think one thing that's happening is with how big the field is, the checkups are probably more massive than anyone's ever seen at Daytona, because the more cars you get in line, it just takes one person to wiggle, one person to maybe lift or tap a brake or get a little squirrely, and it just, you know, it falls backwards. But I can't imagine being the 27th guy in line waiting for that to kind of come back to you, right? That would be just the worst checkup ever, I think.
And I think we've seen that a couple times tonight as the pace car is going to peel off down pit road. Lucas Moody, Daniel Nanny going to try to get this thing started again, although they are not going to immediately be able to jump up and go 1-2 as Jake Cummings got a good launch on the inside, trying to close the door, prevent the 13 from dropping down if he can help it. And they'll be side by side going in the 1 behind Daniel Nanny. Here they go. Look at how stacked up that outside lane is.
Yeah, but it's a little off-center what you're seeing now, right? Unlike the bottom lane, which seems to be in line, or using that yellow line as a guide marker. Look at that top lane. Look at the serpentining of that snake up there. So there's still movement happening. And every time that happens and the bottom lane sits still, the bottom lane gets a little stronger because that draft remains. So now through 3 and 4, you see that top lane still moving around. I think now they've maybe settled down in the top of the group here, but they've lost probably 4 or 5 car lengths, and there's some movements up top.
And here we go across the stripe. Yeah, aggressive might be an understatement. They were basically dooring each other. Daniel Nanny into turn 1. Still's got the lead. Here's Maverick Davis on the high side. He's battling with Cade Corbin, the Alabama Huntsville driver, in that 08. Has worked his way up the 3rd. The field just looks like a swarm of bees running down this back straightaway. They're constantly shaking and shifting, everyone picking a lane, trying to figure out where they can fit the car in and actually make it stick. And boy, now we're going 3 wide. A couple of cars going all the way up the hill here as they go through 3 and 4.
Now there's that first bit of 3 wide racing we thought we'd seen. There's actually a lineup. There's, 4 or 5 cars in the top? Never mind. They just abandoned that, and that's how fast things happen here at Daytona. You can just make a move and leave someone out to dry. But up front, it's still Moody and Maverick Davis, but up to the front, we haven't really talked about that yet. Up now 44 spots. There's nowhere else he can go, Alex. He's achieved the top of the mountain right now.
That he has, and now everyone's going to be trying to knock down the back bumper of the 15. Here goes Lucas Moody to the high side. He got connected with Nanny. The 2 Ball State drivers linked up on the outside. Jake Cummings going to be pushing the 15 here into 3. Little 2 by 2 as they go through 3 and 4. A little bit of a gap. Back to Ben Fior, back to Cade Corbin. They try to sort this thing out. Looks like Lucas Moody and Daniel Nanny, the Ball State duo, with a good push. They'll drop down to the bottom. Lucas Moody now's got the lead with less than 10 to go.
You could see they were connected with intent, right? Because Moody kept kind of dipping, but every time he'd figure out that his teammate wasn't clear, he'd get back in line, and he'd wait, and he'd wait, and he'd wait until they finally got it together. Moody now up to the front. The Ball State native is having fun. Oh, some smoke in the back, but we stayed good. Wow, I saw that smoke kick up, and I got nervous.
Yeah, and I would still be nervous as you see just how much these lines shake going down the straightaway. Moody's got the lead for now, trying to hold off that charge. The outside lane is falling apart just a little bit, although we've got a 3rd lane forming up toward the wall here off of 4. And this is that point you were talking about earlier, Derek. There's a lot of time left, so if you're stuck all the way in the back, it's time to try to make something happen.
And that 3rd lane could be very successful. Only a few cars in line, a very good push, and it could really happen pretty quickly here. So look at them coming up here now. Going about maybe 7 cars back from the front of the field. If they can keep a straight line and keep not getting blocked, they could build up momentum, but it seems to get stronger. Cars wanting to get up there, and it's weird how infectious that is, Alex. You see that line moving? Hey, I want to be part of that. And next thing you know, there'll be more cars up there than you suspect.
That there certainly will be. Right now, leading that 2nd lane, it's Ben Fior all the way up on the wall. That's Clemson's Nick Stockner trying to get the charge going all the way up. They're all chasing Lucas Moody, though, as they're trying to get by. It's only a handful of laps left at this point. Not a lot of time if you're trapped in the back. Got to start making some moves. Pick a lane that looks like it's going to go somewhere. The inside lane, if you're trapped at the back on the inside lane, you're basically stuck there until something happens around you. It is really tough to maneuver out of that spot once you're down there.
One person who doesn't want to be stuck is Maverick Davis. He keeps dipping that nose out, trying to see when the right move is, when the right time is to make that move, as they got really wide behind him right there, and they got it worked out. But look at this 3 wide. This is a recipe for disaster is what this is.
Yeah, and there it is.
There it is.
Called it as it happened. Recipe for disaster. Huge wreck behind the field. And the yellow flag is out for, I believe it's the 6th time here tonight. As everyone's trying to still sort this thing out. Oh, no, sorry, this is the replay as it happened. And it all fell apart from that 3rd lane. Nick Stockner around as part of it. Boy, oh boy. I think that might be Matt Morton sliding around in there.
Couple of cars picked up a side gig cutting grass on the Monday night here.
Yeah, Keegan Kalick, part of this wreck as well. It's going to take us dangerously close to the end of this race. May even position us for an attempt at a green-white checkered here tonight. We'll see.
This is going to be. I think it's going to be. I don't know what do you call it? A natural, organic, homegrown green white checker, whatever phrase you have for it. I think we're going to get I think we'll go green at literally 2 to go here. So it kind of be an extra green white checker attempt in a weird way.
And I think that is going to just make this that much more. What's the general word for it? Insane?
Aggressive.
It's going to be messy, that's for sure. But that's kind of been the theme of tonight. But when you come to Daytona, you got to expect a couple of big incidents, and we've had a handful here tonight. But it's been a ton of fun getting back into the swing of things. You know, seeing how these guys have duked it out. We've seen some huge movers up and down the field. Everyone trying to get in position for the end of this race. And then there's just been some folks where it's like no matter what you do, you just kind of get trapped at the back. You try to figure something out. And with so many cars, even when you dig out 10, 20 positions, you're still nowhere near where you want to be. You know, like a driver that comes to mind for me is someone like Jack Wilson, who's up to 20th, but started 46th here tonight. So he's up 26 spots, but still way, way back in the field.
So I think the important thing to come back to talk on our pre-show, by the way, is I think there's still things that have been learned tonight.
Yes.
Certain drivers, Alex, right? So right now, if they didn't know it before, Daniel Nanny, pardon me, and Lucas Moody know they're good teammates. They know they work well together. You know, maybe the 11 cars knows the 7 cars are a good pusher. Back deep in the field, maybe we're not seeing as drivers are kind of learning who's more stable, who can hold a line, who can take a bump. So again, with those 2 super speedways coming up in races 4 and 5 on the schedule, there's a lot to be learned here. I know from a viewer standpoint, it made us seem like we're just having a few cautions, and we are. But there's still things being learned in the back of the field here, right? Who you can trust, you know, who can hold a line, who you can whatever. And so, and I can tell you the driver chat is active with communication, so lots going on here in these laps.
Yeah, and it is one of those things where you just can only imagine what's going through the mind of some of these drivers now, because racing at a super speedway already gets you a little on edge just because you're stuck so close to every other car in the field. But now with no time really left in this event, it gets really, really stressful. The nerves can certainly get to you if you're not careful. And when they get going again, we have the 2 Ball State teammates who will be car 1 and car 2 here, but you know, outside, inside won't be able to get lined up with one another unless they make something happen on the restart, which is what I think they tried to do on the last restart, but the 95 of Jake Cummings didn't let that happen. And now you've got the 15 of Maverick Davis behind us. We know he's been fast all night tonight. But we know the 13 and the 30 almost certainly will work together, Derek. If you're the 15, who are you looking for in this top group to try to get connected with and take the challenge here to the Ball State Cardinals?
Honestly, this sounds generic, and I apologize, but anyone who would be patient and work with me, right? At 3 to go, at 2 to go, it almost doesn't matter. If I'm leading up there that top lane and someone's willing to push, and they'll push well and not get me squirrely, it could be from my college, it could be from a rival college. Heck, as an Ohio State guy, I might even let a Michigan guy push me around if he'll push pretty well. Maybe not. That's a deep ask, actually. I said it out loud and I kind of shivered. Maybe not. But you know what I mean. As you get 2 to go here, you got to be more willing to kind of let some affinities and some friendships go and just let it happen. But you know, maybe my last college pun of the night here, Alex. You know, if you thought this class was like drafting 101. Yeah, if you want to win this race, we're going to have to advance to like, you know, 201, 301, 401 if you want to be successful here in this massive field.
Yeah, and it's going to have to happen, you know, right now. You know, it is time to you've had the entire race to kind of study the field. Now it's time to go out there and execute. And we'll see who's able to make that happen when they restart. It's, I believe, to your point, yeah, it's going to be the natural green-white checkered. So there'll be 2 laps to go as they hit the line to restart this event. And if there is a caution before the white flag, we'll go into our 1 attempt at a green-white checkered here tonight. Should we need it, we'll explain what that is.
When we need it.
But for right now, yeah. The when we need it, probably more realistic than if, but I'm going to try to remain optimistic here in the booth tonight, and we'll see what we can do. So it'll be Lucas Moody, Daniel Nant. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry, you hit where I was going to hit. The question in my head now, these Ball State guys have worked together really great in these past, 10, 15, 20 laps. But if you do get lined up here quickly, either way, if you're Moody in front, you know, when do you get, or whichever way, they're not going to push each other to a win here, right? They're going to want to win this race. So if you're right now, if you're that purple car second in line, when do you make the move? When is it right at Daytona? That's the question, right? That's the ultimate question. Do you do it out of turn 4 and hope that the leader can't block you? Do you really stick to your college affinity and just push your team to a 1-2? I don't know. I guess we'll wait and see.
Yeah, and everyone's got different philosophies on it. Some of these folks, they all run under the same colors. They know each other. They, work and practice with each other. And other folks, they go to a school so big, they just so happen to go to the same school and don't even know who the other person is. But it's all going to come to a head right here. Pace car going to peel off down pit road. Green flags back in the air. Lucas Moody, Daniel Nanny going to lead him into turn 1 for potentially the penultimate time here. And we'll see how this gets sorted out going in to turns 1 and 2. Looks like Nanny's got the edge, but better draft support on the inside for Lucas Moody.
Yeah, there's that big gap right about 4 cars back in the top lane. That's going to cause Lucas Moody likely to get the run. The 15 car is pushing as hard as he can to get Moody up here. And now 1.5 laps to go, about 3 miles or so left at Daytona to determine a winner.
Here we go into turn 3. Daniel Nanny on the high side's clear. He's got Nate Smith with him. Kelton Quick from 52nd. He's battling for 3rd. Maverick Davis trying to get up there with Lucas Moody. Those 4 cars going to step away. As this time by, they're going to come to the white flag presented by Longland Corporation Napa. Visit Napa and get the Napa know-how for your car, truck, or SUV.
Well, that was a crazy move to the white flag. And look at that car moved up. He blocked the second lane and did that Ball State car. And I'm surprised he moved up. I think that might give the race to the bottom lane here. And here comes Nate Smith to the lead.
Oh, big wreck back deeper in the field. They're all spinning, but at this point, it's the white flag, so they're going to churn it out to the finish. Nate Smith down low, big slide from Daniel Nanny. He takes the lead. Lucas Moody up to the high side. Does he have a run off of turn 4? Nanny trying to block 2 lanes at once off of turn 4. They're ducking, they're diving, and they're all going to chase him, but no one's going to catch Daniel Nanny, who wins an absolutely chaotic final lap here at the Clash. And just like winning 6 a season ago, Daniel Nanny and Ball State back to victory lane to kick off season 13.
Ooh, that was a lot in 2.5 miles. Blocks, wrecks, side drafting, and ultimately a win for Daniel Nanny.
Nate Smith, Maverick Davis, your other podium finishers here tonight, but it's going to be Daniel Nanny who holds on for the win. A masterclass on that final lap to hold on. I mean, we could review that final lap for 20 minutes and not catch every car that wrecked there, Derek. I mean, I think most of the field was gone in that final 2.5 miles.
I think the shorter list is who wasn't involved in the wreck on the last lap. I think that's probably the safer bet. Maybe just the 6 or 7 cars we saw cross the finish line there together might have been the only safe ones.
It really might have. It may have just been that. So Daniel Nanny going to get ready to put on the smoke show here. Going to burn it down on the front straightaway. Got his teammate Lucas Moody to burn it down with him. Another top 5 finish for Ball State there as Lucas Moody's going to hold on to a 5th place position. But Nanny burning it down as more cars whipping by.
Whew. Must have had a post-race wreck right there.
Yeah, no kidding. Almost at full speed, too.
Yeah.
And that's one of those moments you're just glad that these cars are virtual, because, boy, was that going to hurt.
I'm glad I'm not in VR when that happens, too.
Yeah, really. And with that, I think we're going to take our final commercial break of the night. When we come back, the final results from tonight's Clash at Daytona, plus interviews with your winner and other podium finishers. So we'll be talking with Daniel Nanny, Nate Smith, and Maverick Davis just after the break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You need precision, timing, and teamwork. Racing isn't a solo sport. You need your pit crew and your driver. Neither is cooking. That's why we built YumTwo. YumTwo is your cooking co-driver that lets you cook and find recipes that you'll both like with whatever preferences you have. No matter how hard or how easy it is to find recipes, we'll always have a recipe for you to pick. We're sponsoring the College Cup Series this season, but off the track, we want to sponsor your dinner. Get on the grid before launch and join the waitlist now at YumTwo.com.
Welcome back, folks. Just wrapped up the most insane finish here at Daytona. I mean, most of the field was in one piece starting the final lap, and then most of them were not when we came to the checkers. I mean, just absolute carnage. There's no other way to put it.
Yeah, just like those surprise caster cams right there. That was a surprise in the field, and those wrecks kept happening. So you got to be ready for whatever at Daytona, I guess. Whether it be on the track, up in the commentary booth, you got to be on your toes here.
All right, there we go, which is going to be prime time for us to take us, I believe, to our post-race results. Unofficially, that is, but our unofficial results here for this evening. Of course, you saw Daniel Nanny going to pick up the win there for Ball State in that 30 machine, put together a fantastic drive here tonight. Nate Smith from Mississippi State finished second. Maverick Davis finishing third here this evening. And then we get into our top 10 finishers. Drew Williams will be finishing fourth here tonight for Clemson University. Maverick Davis from Kettering, forgot to mention that. Lucas Moody finishing fifth here tonight for Ball State. Logan Smith from Auburn finishing sixth. Brandon Schulenberger finishing seventh, just ahead of his former teammate Jake Cummings in the eighth position. Cade Corbin puts together a ninth place run here tonight for Alabama Huntsville, with Ben Fior rounding out the top 10.
Moving back into P11, up 33 spots on the night is Benjamin Keller from Ball State as well. He's got Alex Jones behind him, and then Edward Sanchez back there in 13th with Zachary DeWale, and then Jack Wilson behind him. Austin DeLong back there in 16th. Look at that 17th, by the way. John Forbes Jr. led this race at one point, never got back to the front after pitting. 18th, Miguel Carrera. 19th is Matthew Norberg. And then 20th is Logan McKinn from St. Clair College.
Back in 21st here tonight, it is Riley Berkins for New England College. Matthew Morton finishing 22nd, getting caught up in one of those late incidents. Roger Primo finishing 23rd here this evening, just ahead of Brennan Lyman and Nicholas Stockner. The 82 machine of Josh Camphor finishes in the 26th position here tonight. Jordan Rickey finishing 27th. Sean Campbell in the 9 will finish 28th, just ahead of Edwin Onofre and Tyler Skozen.
Coming back into P31. I've still got what's the field to go. Matthew James back here from Drexel is next to Anthony Schoenberg from Purdue. Andrew Voigt's back there in 33rd. Ronan Suarez is back there in 34th. I mean, there's so many cars here. It's just back. Trey is back here with Texas A&M. Ethan Decatur. So Kelton Quick was up many spots. Well, he's the first car one lap down, by the way. Ryan Whitlock, Garrett Witten, and Jacob Martin round out your top 40.
And the rest of your field here, Keaton Kalick, Andrew Burrell, Wesley Shaw, Hunter Hadesti, all these cars, numbers of laps down. Clint Halterman, Thomas Crump, Brian Ferwita, John Voight, Ethan Head, and Lee Winters, your top 50 here tonight. And your last four, Christian Hill, Connor Bingle, Nolan Starkey, and Caleb Winslow. With our 54-car results finally out of the way here, we can jump in to talking to your race winner here tonight, Daniel Nanny, as we'll bring him up into the booth. Hey there, Daniel. This is Alex in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, I feel like we talked to you a lot last season. Then we had the summer, and you are picking up right where you left off last year in Victory Lane here in the Clash. Feels right at home. How's it feel to be back racing, and what was it like being out there with 54 cars tonight? Because it was wild to watch from up here in the booth.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just glad I was able to qualify. 54 cars out there, chaotic. It was ironically the most fun I ever had in the pit race. I mean, iRacing debuted the new draft model, and, you know, even though half of the race was spent in the cars, and it was a lot of fun, and you never know what could have happened. but yeah, he's picking up right off where I left off, and hopefully do this again.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was a fun one to watch there at the end. It looked like you had your hands full trying to hold off a couple of different contenders there on that natural green-white checkered. Especially coming around turn 4, you had a bumper full of Nate Smith. What was it like trying to hold on there in the last couple laps? Because it seemed like everyone was throwing caution to the wind and really pushing for all they were worth.
Yeah, I mean, I DM'd Nate in the race thing, like, just keep pushing, don't let off, and he did exactly that. You know, I thought I was gonna get wrecked there on the back straightaway coming at either 2 or on the final lap to go. I don't recall, but all I know is that I had to block both lanes, and I knew going to the outside lane there on the back straightaway in the final lap was gonna be beneficial to me, and it worked out in the end. And thankfully, I didn't get wrecked and came out with the victory.
That you did. Daniel, you're in victory lane once again here. Great way to kick off the new season. Anyone you'd like to shout out here from victory lane?
Yeah, I got shout out Ball State University for supporting me for another school year. I'm very thankful for them, and I have to shout out CIL for putting on another season for us, and all my teammates, of course, Ball State Sim Racing, and all the sponsors that you see in the car. I think I have the wrong paint scheme on for the broadcast, so hopefully next week I come out with the right paint scheme.
Well, we'll certainly take a look at that and get it fixed for the start of the regular season next week at Michigan. Daniel, thank you so much for dropping by. Congrats on your win, and we will see you when the points paying races kick off next week at MIS.
Thank you guys so much.
And that is race winner Daniel Nanny from Ball State University picking up the victory here tonight. And we will just jump right into our runner-up finisher, Mississippi State's Nate Smith. Hey there, Nate. This is Alex up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I do. What's up?
Not much. First, since this is the first time I've had the opportunity to talk to you, Nate, Nathan, what do you prefer?
I like Nate. Thank you.
Nate? Alrighty. Well, I'll tell you what, Nate. You were up in the top 10 basically all night, and then when it mattered most, you were absolutely knocking down the back bumper of the 30 on that natural green-white checkered. What was it like running out there tonight with such a large field, and what was that last couple lap battle like?
Yeah, I'll be frank with y'all. This is the first time I've ever been in a league this big and really like has this much prestige in it. And so I was just like, I really don't want to wreck out the person in first whenever I was at the very end there. But yeah, it was kind of weird. The outside, it really didn't work for the whole beginning run. And so whenever I realized I was starting fourth, I was like, this is gonna end up badly. But thanks to the 2 car behind me, the 30 car in front of me, they sort of coached me through what I should have done on the restart, and we played it really well. So, yeah.
Well, you certainly did play it well, and a great start here to the season. Obviously, it's tough to really get much of a read on anything in a drafting track for the Clash. But how do you feel with tonight going into the regular season starting next week? Do you feel like you have a better sense of who you're going to be up against here as the season moves forward?
Yeah, well, I would just like to say that everybody that's in this league, I mean, I only really raced with the top 15 as you saw in the race, but they were all really respectful, really clean, and really fast. And so I got to put a lot of practice in. I can already tell, but I'm really excited to see what the regular season is going to have in store.
Well, we are super excited to see what it has in store as well. Nate, a stellar start to your CIL debut here, your start to the season. Anyone you'd like to shout out here on the runner-up finish here tonight?
Yeah, just shout out all the people on my team, Bad Luck Racing back there. I see y'all. Thanks for helping me out, and I appreciate y'all and everybody at Mississippi State for giving me this opportunity for sure.
All right. Nate, thank you so much for dropping by. We appreciate it, and we will catch you next week at Michigan.
Sweet. See y'all on the flip side.
And that was Nate Smith from Mississippi State, your runner-up finisher here tonight. And that should take us, I believe, to our third place finisher tonight, who's up 42 positions. Unbelievable stuff. Derek Watson standing by with Maverick Davis.
Well,
Hey,
a driver
what's
I'm
up?
familiar with, who was a veteran of Real Sim Racing and other leagues, is now here in CIL. And first off, let's just start there. Up 42 spots. What?
Yeah, dude. Okay, this race right here restored my faith in super speedways. Let me tell you.
Hmm,
First
okay.
4 laps, I gained 24 spots. Brother, I felt like Cole Trickle out there for all my people that know Days of Thunder. Ladies and gentlemen, I was cutting up no hezzy on the highway. That's what it felt like. It was beautiful. It was a lot of fun.
It looked fun at times from up here as well. So, of course, a non-points race tonight. You know, in weeks 4 and 5, we come back to 2 super speedways, Talladega and Echo Park. What, if anything, did you learn tonight about the field or anything that could help you in those races?
Well, I tried to make the outside line work later to see if it had anything when we still had like 15 laps to go or something. Just to try and get an idea on if it would be useful, but obviously people weren't pushing at the time. Because on that last restart, them boys, whoo, they were going. But yeah, I mean, the field's really good. I was just trying to run my my race, stay smooth. Just try not to do anything stupid. Surprisingly, I didn't do anything stupid, especially having to start from 45th. Wow, that's another thing I learned. Qualifying at super speedways needs some work. I do not want to go through that again because I just so happened to be in the right place at the right time. Every single wreck was happening either 2 spots behind me, or there was actually one that happened like right in front of me, but just so I happened to avoid that one. So dodged the bullet there, but qualifying needs some work. Other than that, I mean, up front, everyone's really smooth, and I've raced with a few of these guys, so definitely not my first time around this crowd. So it was good.
Well, you did a great job tonight representing Kettering University, and congrats on that. Anyone you want to give a shout out to or say hello to?
Hey Dad, hey Riley, hey Alex, and my boy Michael Peters. That dude has been helping me out for so long, man. He's been helping me every step of the way. I know you've seen several iterations of my paint scheme over the years, and yeah, it's always had the same sticker on there, man. I've always had my boy Michael Peters on there, and yeah, just big shout out to my family and Mike, and of course Kettering for helping me out getting here. So
Fair enough. Well, listen, it was a pleasure watching your race, and we'll see you in 1 week's time at Michigan.
awesome, brother. Appreciate it.
That is Maverick Davis coming home at P3. And we're going to wrap it up tonight by talking to the driver who finished in P5.
Two of
He
us.
looked like he was going to win at one point, came up a little bit short. Lucas Moody, what happened out there, buddy?
You know, I really thought I had it, Derek. You know, taking that last 2 to go, as I like to call it, a natural green-white checkered, taking it in first. I was very confident, but at the same time, the place you don't want to be in Daytona with 1 to go is first place. So, of course, you know, there's always doubts in my mind and everything. But I feel like me and my teammate Daniel, we were linking up well the entire race. You know, we got up there, we stayed up there. We restarted 1-2, like the back-to-back cautions. So once we got up there, we were really consistent. But the end of the race is always chaos, unpredictable. He goes low, my outside line just completely loses momentum, and we're coming on 5th, unfortunately.
So I've gotten to know Lucas Moody a little bit through the broadcaster side of Lucas Moody, not so much the driver's side so far. But looking back on the last restart, as you said, the natural green white checker, what would broadcaster Lucas Moody have told you that would have been better advice or different advice than what you did in that restart?
That's a great question.
I'm here.
That wow, that's probably just block for your life. Is probably what I would have said. Knowing I have Daniel on my outside, a close friend and teammate, I'm obviously not going to chop his nose off. But yeah, block for your life. You don't want to be in first starting in the restart zone. But yeah, block. Yeah, and the outside line, it had a lot of runs. So just trying to side draft off people, I was, you know, he would have told me if you do find that outside line, hug those inside cars as much as you can. The closer you are to them, the more side draft you give them, and that's how me and I don't know if you guys saw it. Me and Morton got that crazy run on them. Morton pushed me from behind. He pushed me from like 12th to 2nd. It's just all he's pushing me. We got that side draft on the lane inside, and yeah, but yeah, that's what I would have said. Block like hell in side draft.
Fair enough. Well, Lucas, pleasure watching you race. Boy, knowing you're from Ohio, it's hard to say this next words. We'll see you at that awful state up north.
Ugh, I can't even. Yellow and blue. Ugh,
hard,
yuck.
I know, it's hard. All right, buddy. Congrats on the run tonight. Congrats on P5. We'll talk soon.
Thank you. I'll see you, Derek.
All right, that is Lucas Moody. And Alex, I think that wraps up our interviews for the evening.
It certainly does, and that is almost going to do it for our coverage here tonight from Daytona. Derek, any final thoughts from the Birch Blast Clash as the jump cuts to the caster cam tonight have been really keeping us honest?
Ah, man, that's... Ugh. So, final thoughts. I mean, it was what we thought it was going to be, right? A little bit of chaos, a little bit of calamity, a little bit of wrecking. You know, not much green flag racing. We all hope for 40 laps green, but with 54 cars, I think we both sort of internally knew what everyone had signed up for here. So, congrats to the winners. A solid start in a preseason form CIL for this year for the fall schedule, but looking forward to the races ahead.
Yeah, we are too. So, of course, this tonight has been the Birch Blast Clash, sponsored by the Cardinal and Birch Group, LLC, your trusted local real estate firm. I want to give a big thank you to them again for sponsoring tonight's event. And this has been the first race of the season for the YumTwo College Cup Series. YumTwo makes cooking fun again, designed for couples to plan meals, follow recipes, and bond over cooking together. Join the waitlist now at YumTwo.com. That is YumTwo.com. And with that, we are looking ahead to next week, the first race of the regular season at Michigan International Speedway. Big 2-mile oval. Not the same super speedway stuff we saw tonight, but it'll still be big speed and the opportunity to flare out 4, 5, 6, who knows how many lanes wide. However wide you want to make it at Michigan, you can make it happen. And I think we're in for a real treat there. We'll have exactly 43 cars on the grid at most, so it'll be, you know, slightly more streamlined, and I'm sure people's computers, both driving the game and for our dear friend Lee Kane here producing the show, I'm sure that'll be appreciated, so everyone's PCs can run just a tick cooler next week. But with that, yeah, for everyone here at the CIL, I want to give a big thank you for tuning in for tonight's race. For producer Lee Kane, my co-commentator Derek Watson, I've been Alex Gagnon saying thank you so much for tuning in to tonight's Birch Blast Clash, and we will catch you next week at Michigan for the first race for paying points of season